Max Scoville here for Rev3 Games, here to talk to you about Payday 2, which is the sequel to Payday the Heist. And if you're unfamiliar, I know Payday the Heist went under some people's radar because it only came out for PSN and for Steam. It is a 4-player cooperative bank robbery game, which kind of takes the form of a first-person shooter, but has a little bit more going on for it than that. Originally, when I remember seeing Payday the Heist back at E3 2011, and the vibe we got from it back then was that it's sort of like Left 4 Dead, except instead of zombies, you're shooting cops. But I would go so far as to say that Payday 2 is just miles and miles beyond that. There's a lot more going on here. The emphasis here is it's you and 3 other people, and you make a team, and you get together and you pull off different types of heists, whether it's like a bank robbery or knocking over a jewelry store or armored car robbery, and basically. While the previous game was pretty straightforward and pretty simple, Payday 2 is making itself much more of a role-playing game. And I know that adding RPG elements into a shooter can turn off some people, but it's kind of impressive what they're doing here. Obviously, if you're being a career criminal and robbing banks and so forth, one of the big perks of that is that you get a lot of money. And in this case, you get money and experience, and you have skill trees and inventory, so that there's a lot more of an emphasis on outfitting your character before you take on different heists. There are 4 different classes in the game, which kind of each have their own separate skill tree, and it's I didn't get quite a feel for exactly how rigid they are, but it's definitely one of those things where you can kind of assign different points to your different character, and depending on the job, you can sort of play as a different type of character. For instance, one of the classes is the mastermind, who is kind of the guy in charge. He'd be Robert De Niro in Heat. That was the example they gave. He can actually convince civilians to help him up. He's got kind of a special perk there. What I think is worth noting about Payday 2 is that it's got much more of a wider range of gameplay styles compared to the first game. There's a much bigger emphasis on stealth, but it's not like rigid, if you're caught, you're screwed kind of stealth. It's like you're running a heist and it's possible to ghost it. It's possible to pull it off with nobody getting caught and the cops not getting called in, but it's extremely difficult to do so. Something I think is worth noting about Payday 2 is that while Payday 1, or Payday the Heist, felt a lot like Left 4 Dead, but with cops instead of zombies, this feels more like Borderlands crossed with Hitman, but with a more tactical emphasis on outfitting your guys beforehand. There's a huge emphasis on really, customization, and not in the way that's sort of just tacked on, but really in the sense that you're preparing for a specific job. And there's an emphasis on cooperation as well too. And this is not the kind of game that you can run in and just shoot the bad guys and run out with your own personal loot. This is you're going to get an entirely different game if you're actually playing this cooperatively and using proper teamwork and shouting commands and making sure everyone's doing their part and actually working as a team. At the same time, Payday 2 is also, it's got some role-playing elements. You've got all these masks you've got for character customization. It starts to feel like you're becoming your own criminal. Everyone's becoming their own career criminal, and you can find your specialty. You can find your perfect squad. Get the boys back together. Have a real gang. And with the different types of missions you can take on, it's very interesting to see just the overall kind of breadth of the game. Payday 2 feels like a huge improvement and expansion beyond what Payday the Heist was, and I thought Payday the Heist was pretty cool, so I think this was going to sit well with a lot of people. And thankfully, this is coming not just to PSN and PC, it's also going to be coming to retail for 360 and PS3, as well as downloadable for both those platforms and for PC. So a lot more people can get their hands on it this time around, and it seems like just an entirely different, huger, much more impressive game. And if you're interested in, being a career criminal, who knows, maybe you're getting warmed up for GTA 5, you want to get some practice in robbing banks with your friends, this is definitely worth keeping an eye on. It is coming out again for 360, PS3, and PC on August 13th. Anyway, I'm Max Scoville. You guys take it easy. Check out the rest of our videos here. Go watch my study hall about GTA 5. It talks about criminals too. I'll see you around.